So, keyword for today, disruption. What is causing cataclysmic shifts in the way that the entertainment consumer is consuming entertainment? And what's creating new challenges and new opportunities for us to reach those consumers? It's disruption. Everyone in the digital ecosphere, be it a studio person, be it an agency, be it a media partner, a technology partner, we all have to work collaboratively to face this disruption that's happening today. So I recently upgraded my home entertainment screen to a 3D, passive 3D, HD, broadband-enabled television. She's beautiful. And I normally don't watch live broadcast TV. Yes, I said it. I don't normally watch it, unless it's the Oscars, which is like my Super Bowl, or the Euro Cup. Go Germany! Woo! I'm the only one? Okay. Anyway, I ended up channel surfing just because the television is so beautiful, and I happened upon a show that I hadn't seen in a long time, South Park. So this episode, it was fortuitous. It was about, it was called Overlogging, or The Day the Internet Stood Still, and it was an episode that was, supposed that the world's internet stopped. And if you haven't seen it, go and download it legally and watch it, because it's genius. But it also helped me, it really set for me, it was a great parody of what would happen if the internet did break down. So it made me think about just how fast we're barreling down this digital highway. And the reality is, folks, we're still facing the same challenges from 2007 that we are today. That's what I get for ad-libbing off of my iPad. Stay with me here. So here's a Variety headline from St. Patrick's Day 2007. And it's talking about 300 wild hogs and ghostwriter overperforming to tracking. And this headline could be used today for Prometheus, for The Vow, for Safe House. Hi, Sony. So in the 5 years from this headline to today, it almost feels like a lot hasn't changed, right? And it's because the playing field keeps changing. With social media and social TV, the goalpost is changing. So it made me ask myself, is there another time in history where the entertainment industry has been just completely shaken by its core? And you can look back at the introduction of VHS. You can look back at the introduction of DVD. But really, the parallel for us is the introduction of a little device called television. Now, my television is much prettier than that. We certainly don't hear about this time in history today. Indeed, we find ourselves really having to compare ourselves as digital marketers to the holy grail of movie marketing. Everybody? The TV spot, right? Right? Anybody feeling me here? Okay. So I decided to do some digging to find out what happened during those years when television was just forming. So prior to the introduction of television from the 20s up until the 40s, studios enjoyed vertical integration, meaning they controlled the pipeline from production to distribution to exhibition. Studio talent was on long-term contracts, and management was very hierarchical. Okay, some things don't change. During the early days of television, studio bosses like Jack Warner saw television as a revolutionary way to distribute and exhibit motion pictures. They envisioned it working much like the box office business model that the studios had built, and they tried to ensure that television would never strictly be defined as a domestic medium aimed at individual homes. Indeed, in 1940, the FCC did a tour of all the Hollywood studios, and it encouraged studios to embrace this new technology as a delivery mechanism. Then, this little war called World War II happened, and all television broadcasting stopped so that we could focus on the war effort. By 1945, however, the FCC had changed their tune. Chairman Paul A. Porter, this sexy man right here, addressed a meeting of industry leaders in Hollywood and warned them that the movie industry should not expect a significant role in television, and that his agency would see to it that television would not become, and I quote, a Hollywood bauble. Washington, D.C., as it turns out, was worried about television becoming monopolistic. Anybody else finding that ironic today? Right? Okay. So then, in 1948, it was a very pivotal year. First, the vertical integration that the studios had enjoyed, it was found to be illegal, monopolistic, and studios were forced to start divesting their exhibition arms. Secondly, and I think this is the nail, a freeze was put on the approval of any additional TV permits. So this pretty much guaranteed that the radio networks that had received television permits before the war would have the foothold on the television industry. And this idea of using it as a broadcast medium for cinemas, it went away because the FCC refused to grant a spectrum to movie studios just for in cinema, or what do we call it, in theater here. Sorry, in cinema is international. In theater broadcast. So the reaction from Hollywood was textbook. Jack Warner declared in the early 50s that the only screens that would carry Warner Brothers product would be the screens of motion picture theaters the world over. So you can guess what happened next. By 1958, television had displaced movies and radios as the dominant form of entertainment. Box office eroded year over year, and studios tried to combat the disruption by change, 3D and other things, trying to change what they were putting in cinemas. However, eventually studios tried to combat this disruption of changing entertainment consumption patterns and the structural change of their business. So, is this sounding familiar? Because it's exactly what's happening today. Anyway, the good news is studios adapted. Obviously, box office is booming. And Hollywood figured out how to embrace this new technology, not only as a delivery platform, also as an entertainment medium. So the good news is Hollywood will adapt. And everyone in this room has to play a role in that adaptation. That's what today is about. So make sure you talk to people and really start thinking about how you're going to be disruptive in your role. No, over to Kevin.
Thanks, Bettina. I thought it was really cool for iMedia to invite me to join Bettina. Bettina so knows this industry, and I'm coming from RedBull, right? And everyone knows what RedBull does. It gives you wings, and it comes in a small kind of silver and blue can. But RedBull also gives you content. So, since last July, I've been part of RedBull Media House. Actually, as of this month, I'm not part of RedBull Media House. I'm an alum now. But I certainly got a different view in terms of the media industry, someone who's really trying to build a media company on the back of the profits that were generated by the energy drink. So I have some observations and some things to share from RedBull here, and just a couple of examples of things that I found interesting. But I'm by no means a veteran in this space. I'm actually looking forward to learning from all of you. I guess what I bring is a fresh perspective. So the things I observe are brands are content creators. Everyone talks about this, branded content. There's a lot of content kind of being developed, different companies kind of rising up to produce this for brands. Some are creating actual media businesses. I mean, I think that the group that I have been part of at RedBull is really visionary in terms of creating an actual business that will turn a profit off of their content. The other thing is this independent content. I think it's been really difficult for advertisers to kind of access and get into. I think we'll have a couple sessions later that will address this, so I'm kind of excited to see them. But now that is actually becoming really possible for brands to access this content kind of across YouTube, for example. So it's just critical to stay connected. But let me share some information. So the first kind of branded content that most of you may be familiar with is Creators Project. I love this. I won't spend a lot of time on it. It's Intel, but it's not Intel talking about Intel. It's Intel kind of empowering these creators, right? And it's not pure branded content in my mind because they partnered up with Vice, who's a super, super credible media outlet. And I was surprised. I was talking last night at the party at RedBull. Some folks who didn't know Vice. I guess they're super, super niche, but if you don't know Vice, go to the website, check out VBS TV, subscribe to the magazine. It is the sickest magazine you could ever read in your life. And I'm kind of a magazine addict. It's amazing. They had a guy go to Colombia and buy drugs from the cartel and then write an article about it. I mean, they just do things that are completely completely off, but also awesome. The next thing is, McDonald's. So I saw McDonald's, this is from last November, so I'm actually not sure where they're at with this, but McDonald's launching an in-store TV channel. So this isn't all that amazing. I mean, Walmart's had TV in store for quite some time, and they've sold ads to fine companies like Conagra Foods, where I'm also an alumni. But what I thought was interesting was who's producing this content for McDonald's, and it's this company called Vimby. Does anybody know Vimby? So I didn't know Vimby either, but they're interesting guys. So they're owned by Mark Burnett Productions. They cover more than 20 markets across the U.S., kind of talented, Mark Burnett Productions level quality content, but also really in touch with those local markets. So what's going to happen at McDonald's is you're going to have really relevant content for New Orleans in the New Orleans McDonald's restaurants, right? These guys have kind of built this network out. I might have imagined television at McDonald's not very long ago. I wouldn't have imagined that they'd have rich, high-quality local content like these guys are going to deliver for them. So just evidence of the environment really changing for us. Let's talk about RedBull for a moment. RedBull is what I'm most familiar with, RedBull Media House. This is the website. It could use some work. This is not one of the websites that I was in charge of, so you can punk it all you want. Actually, I guess I'm in charge of none of them now, so you could punk any of them, but some I still have a great deal of pride. Anyway, RedBull is solidly in the media business. RedBull owns a TV station over in Austria. It's called Service TV, and it's broadcast in Austria and Germany and Switzerland. There are over 300 employees just for Service TV. They're learning how to run a TV station over there with the intent of figuring out kind of how they approach the market here, and RedBull has already made some progress. Digital print, there's a print magazine that's distributed in Sunday newspapers right now, but is also available on newsstands. There's a recording studio here in Santa Monica, a record label, with several bands on the label, and one, AWOL Nation, really making progress on the charts, and on and on and on. These are all businesses that will stand on their own and be profitable. Right now, they're part of the RedBull world overall. A couple of the best examples of RedBull in media are RedBull Signature Series is the first one. This is a partnership between RedBull and NBC. So think Wide World of Sports, but kind of updated for today with action sports, the best action sports from around the world. This is a true partnership that RedBull has struck with NBC. It's not a time buy. A lot of people assume it's a time buy to get on air. It's a partnership. The companies share in revenue and profits on both the television advertising and the online advertising, and we collaborate on this series in every way. For example, one of the things we've put together when you think about RedBull's view on innovation is RedBull included Shazam in the broadcast. So not in ads, but in the broadcast for a snowboard competition. So as the snowboarders were coming downhill, if you Shazammed it, you'd get the point of view from a camera on the snowboarder's helmet. So on TV, you're watching zoomed out. If you Shazammed it on your phone, you'd actually see kind of that person's point of view. So I hadn't seen that done on TV before. Example of companies coming in, just kind of shaking it up, no preconceptions. Let's figure out what we can do. Another one is RedBull's YouTube channel. So RedBull's one of the first 100 channels on YouTube that YouTube funded with this content investment. I wouldn't have imagined that would happen. I didn't do the best screenshot. This is Jordy Smith's dad. He's a surfer's dad, so it's not very sexy at all. But what I would actually note here is Guts Glory Sonic. So GM has bought out the inventory on this channel and kind of integrated into the header, right? Bettina was joking that maybe GM took their Facebook investment and put it on RedBull's YouTube channel. But it's very interesting because I've seen some buzz about these YouTube channels, whether they'd be successful or not. This was in February. YouTube bets $100 million on original content. This is in May. Digital LA Newfronts panel, 90% of YouTube original channels will fail. Really? From February to May, 90% of these channels will fail. Like, how could you possibly know? Give me a break. So this is a classic example of a real link bait headline. And I apologize if any of the folks who are on the panel are in the room today. I guess it's not your fault, because the panel did go on to say that this is a long-term investment project that will be very profitable for YouTube. That just didn't make the headline, right? The headline was that the channels will fail. I would say, based on evidence from General Motors and their commitment to the RedBull YouTube channel, that many of these YouTube channels will succeed. And again, it's just something that's quite different that I've had a front row seat to and been part of in my role at RedBull Media House, and that I thought I'd share with you today. So I want to thank the our sponsors here for sure at iMedia Entertainment Summit. I want to thank the iMedia team for putting this together, and all of you guys for committing the time of the day to put this together. I originally had, I go to the movies every weekend, so I don't know who's responsible for what movies, but my last three were Prometheus, Moonrise Kingdom, and Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. So whoever's responsible for those movies, you want my reviews, I can share them after. But before the movie, as you all know, they're always like silence your phones, blah, 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 turn them off. So I was gonna recommend that, and then I was kindly reminded by the team that people here love to tweet. How silly of me, I've been leading digital marketing for like 15 years, and I'm like gonna say turn off your phones? I guess I'm just thinking of movies and entertainment. So don't turn off your phones. Put it in tweet-only mode. If you don't know how to do that, come see me. There's a secret button on every platform that's tweet-only mode. I'd be pleased to help you. But seriously, just pay attention today. Try to eliminate the distractions because it's only a day. And I'm so impressed by the folks who are in attendance and the folks who are speaking. I'm sure it's going to be awesome.